1940s or something.
Hey guys, welcome to Tuesday at Two Lines. I'm running late because I was having technical difficulties left over from Saturday and I couldn't get the screens to work right. So I had to reset Ecamm Live, but we are back and I have guests. We've got George from Area 51 and Dave from Shotgun Dave's Garage. 3D, Three Amigos 3D printing. Ever since you guys sent me those cars, I've been wanting to bring you on. In front of me, I have the Camaro, and the Mustang is. I actually took the Mustang to the race with me, but we were so stressed about getting everything going that we never made it to the track to run anything other than practice for the digital race. So yeah, I was kind of disappointed.
Okay.
It's all good.
But had a great time. I don't know how great the coverage was, but I learned a lot.
It was good.
Was it? Thanks.
Yeah, I was watching it from work a little bit.
I definitely learned a lot. I know that I want to come up with a couple of extra cameras just so I can have a few different angles. But the one nice thing about the one camera I was using, it's a gimbal camera, and Ecamm you can set snapshots, so you can snap the camera to certain places. So I was able to have a main shot and then change it to the corner where all the crashes were happening. So, and that was all with the same camera. So if I had two of those, I could really get creative and have lots of different shots. But anyway, so how are you guys doing? Doing well?
Good.
It's been busy in the garage, right?
Yep.
George has had a bunch of live streams here the last couple of days. He's been busy.
Hot in the garage. It's 100 degrees in the garage, so I don't have to worry about resin not printing.
Oh yeah. Does it like the heat?
Yeah, the heat it loves. The cold it doesn't like. But yeah, the heat it's easy.
It's easy in the heat.
Yeah, it's been real hot. There's a heat wave here in North Carolina. It was 95 yesterday, and today it was like 93. But the humidity is like at 80%. So
it makes it feel even worse. Yeah. We had low 90s yesterday, and really topped out about 89 or 90 degrees today. So yeah, pretty warm. This is the kind of weather that Dave deals with all the time, though. Sunny.
Yeah, right now we're not, because it's typical with I don't know if you guys ever heard of the term June gloom. That's what we get out here. It's real mild in the morning, 60s, 70s, overcast, and then it burns off around noonish or so. It gets warm, and then in the evening cools back off again. So that'll happen for the next few weeks, and then the furnace will be started, and it'll be hot out here.
Yeah. When we were out there for the wedding last year, it was beautiful. I just couldn't get over how nice the weather was.
You were down in San Diego mostly, though, weren't you?
Yeah, and like very little humidity there.
Yeah, it's beautiful down there. The weather is just super mild year round down in San Diego.
Yeah, and that's not that far south of you, but it's pretty interesting how the weather is different.
Yeah, it's only about an hour south of me.
Yeah, when we were there, you guys know I'm a guitar guy, and the Taylor Guitar Factory, which is the acoustic guitar I play, is right there in El Cajon.
T5 guy. That T5 guy.
Yeah. So that's where the T5 comes from.
Yeah,
and I've toured the plant, and it's an amazing tour. But the reason why they build all those acoustic guitars there is the relative humidity is 50 to 60%, and that's just that's beautiful for an acoustic guitar. So
yeah, probably good on the wood. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So they can. The wood is very predictable at that humidity level, so that's why they like building them there.
Fender used to be out here too, someplace close.
Yeah,
if I remember right.
Yeah, I think the custom shop still is, Dave. I think, but a lot of Fender's production is in Taiwan and Mexico. And then they have the California plant. I don't know exactly where it's at in California, and then they have the custom shop there in LA.
Glendale, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, I think you're right.
It's real interesting how a lot of things are made in different and it's supposed to be like, for just not to interrupt you, but for an
No.
example, where I work at, we work on the Freightliner tractor. So, and I told the drivers this, and they really kind of got a kick out of it. So it's an American product, Freightliner, but it has German engineering because the DD15 motor is actually Daimler Chrysler, which is part of Dodge and
Yep.
all that. And they're assembled in Mexico. And when you hear a Freightliner shut off, it does like a turbo bark, and it sounds like Allah making a noise when you shut it off. So it goes, it makes that noise. It's a real weird noise. So I tell the drivers that, and they start getting a kick out of it. But that tells you how many different entities go into making a tractor that's supposed to be American made. So
Yeah.
It's that way with everything, designed here, built there, but from parts from all over the place. Yeah, it's just about everything is that way now.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah, and that's why with you just really there's really nothing that's American made anymore.
Yeah, not
Especially
100%. No.
not 100% from any of the major products like cars and guitars. Like guitars, there's a big plant over in Korea that makes like 85% of all the guitars made, and they just all the other companies just use that facility, and they make and brand different guitars. So they'll make Samick. Samick is the main company, and they'll make 50 different brands of guitars out of that facility.
Right.
So yeah, it's crazy, but interesting. So the reason why I wanted to bring you guys on is like you guys have been doing a lot of work. I mean, a ton of work. And I mean, it wasn't that long ago you were on talking about, we were still talking about like the original dirt cars you guys were doing, for like the showdown, just bodies. And then the Challenger, I think, was really the first Trans Am car that you did. So, I mean, that was just a few months ago. And now we think about all the different bodies that you've got out there, on Slot Car Corner that continue to sell out, I think, every time they.
yeah,
You
the late
George
model
Little
cars are almost sold out. There's only one left, I think, from what Steve told me.
got a few. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome.
so
So
it's getting there. It just depends. We don't want to flood them with cars and then have them sit there. So we only do so
sure,
much.
no, it makes sense, especially since you guys are printing everything in house. You are truly American made. I guess your chassis and you do have some parts that are probably come from someplace else. But
Yeah.
what that's
Well,
the cool part about what you guys are doing.
I did look into trying to buy an American printer, but the American printer, it's here in North Carolina. I can't remember the name of it. I looked it up, and they're in Greensboro. I emailed them. The printer's like $3,500, or actually, no, excuse me, $5,000. So it's something that really, compared to the Bamboo, like I said, it's not to knock any American. It's just not.
Yeah.
And I asked them, isn't there a way to do like a payment plan or something, through your, and they never got back to me. So it's to them, they're not interested really. And I kind of explain what I do. Again, you don't make money off slot cars, as always.
Yeah.
It's just
Right.
people look at it, and when I tell somebody what I do, I don't like telling them. I don't want my wife telling people that either, because they kind of look at you like this, like, what? So I tell them I collect spores, molds, and fungus, and just let it go, because they're not gonna freaking understand a slot car is. Then I'm kind of lost, and nobody really turns an eye to it. But yeah, I did look for an American company, and it was really expensive. There's no way I could do it. It's not feasible.
Right.
Again, the Chinese products like Bamboo and Elegoo, they're very superior products. They really, whether they stole it from somebody's IP, I don't know, but they did a damn good job with the equipment, because it's really been a workhorse to be able to use the printers. That's why we've gone all Elegoo.
Sweat.
We did have a Hay Gears, but that machine has been it's a great machine, but it's like a Ferrari. When it breaks down, it's just kind of really you have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And but yeah, but and then Dave got his Elegoo machine, his printer, because I was doing a lot of the printing and testing, and then there was no way for him to do that. So with the money we get from making the cars, I invested it and bought him the printer and the equipment.
Nice.
and this is just so we can kind of be all on the same page. Harry has two new, resin printers. Dave's got two new ones. I got two more, so I have a total of five now. So four, or actually six, five of the big ones, and one of the little Mars one, and then two of the printers in the house. So it's now I can produce cars at a quicker rate. But one thing that we have been testing, and I've been really going back and forth, and Harry. So we've had some instances where, example, Harry sent us a box, but what happened was there was nothing wrong with this prints. The box was weak, and it looked like a 800-pound gorilla sat on it. And then what happened, since they were in plastic bags, when you have weight on a resin product and you have heat, that distorts it because of the weight, not by itself. Because what we've been doing is I had a car, a late model car that I stuck in the box in the plastic like I'm shipping. I had it sit in the back of my car for 2 days straight in high heat. Today I tested it again. The body was like at I think 115 degrees, and it didn't distort because nothing is disturbing it. And it's much as that if you put a rubber band to strap it to something, that'll affect it also. So we kind of make sure you know, we don't have that happen
Yeah.
because it could be delicate to heat when you start trying to manipulate it without wanting to, by putting rubber bands. And so you put into the box in the plastic. We're looking into getting some radiant barrier for the box. All the shipment of the cars that we have now are ready, but we're being cautious, so we're not going to ship them till next week because of the heat.
Yeah.
Because again, it's a heat wave over here, and I don't want them, sitting too much. But we've been simulating that, a box in the car at 130 degrees, because in the trunk of my car is like 130 degrees because I have a thermometer that I measure everything, and it gets pretty damn hot in there. So
Yep.
they'll probably survive. It's just you got to pack them real well. Have to be their individual boxes. There can't be anything force against them, like a rubber band or anything like that, or it'll be a problem. So
Yeah. Yeah. You don't think about those things like from a consumer perspective, but
yeah,
it's definitely, now that you've produced them a while,
yeah.
you figured out what impacts them. So yeah, smart move, man.
We've had maybe not. It's not a complaint. It was so. Luckily, it's been happening to this to two of the guys that we know. One was an incident where it was painted and it completely like distorted the body, but I don't know. I think the type of paint he may have been using and the way it was exposed may have just I had to send him another one. It just turned into kind of like a glob.
Yeah.
And then the other one was a Corvette one, and what was happening is that there was a rubber band holding the body and the chassis together, like, you rubber band it. Well, that actually affects it when you're shipping it. So we stopped that right away. And want to thank that person for letting us know about that. And this is the thing that we tell everybody: if you have a complaint, you have to email and tell me, hey, this is wrong. I've already replaced maybe one car. One other guy, I don't know if he was legit because he said he got one from eBay and then he had ours, and we were using the same resin as the eBay guy. So he may have got something for free that wasn't even ours, but whatever. I sent them everything. We're trying to make sure everybody's happy with what they get.
Sure.
There's no reason for you to be trying to iron out the chassis back straight or straighten the body. That's not what we want. If it's messed up, please get a hold of us or get a hold of Steve. I take care of complaints. I squash them right away. I don't want anybody unhappy. I want everybody to be content with what they're getting because that's the whole point of it. Just, you shouldn't have to be, trying to reform the body and all that crap. It
Right.
shouldn't come that way.
Right. Yeah. I mean, those are all lessons learned that you didn't think you had to worry about. So, but now you know and making changes. So Dave, what have you been working
Dave
on?
says
Oh yeah. Go
what's
ahead,
that
George.
again?
What was that?
No, I said it's good that Dave, told me. Like Dave said, it's better for them to tell us than talking crap on the internet because that's the
Right.
worst part right there. That's when people complain something on the internet. It's like, well, go to the source. They're the ones that sold it to you. Why are you
Yeah.
going to go on and make a big, drama about it? I'm sure they're willing to take care of you. And it's just like us. I've been willing to take care of people. If there's a problem, I'll send them another car. I don't give a crap. I can just print it out and put it together, and away it goes. But
Right.
Dave, you
Right.
take over some of the things we've run into. So
Some of the things we run into. What do you mean?
I don't know. With just designing and everything in particular.
Oh well, yeah, the
Anything
design
to
stuff. We go back and forth a lot. I'll design something. it's going to be a lot easier now that I've got the filament printer here for myself as well, so I don't have to send George the designs, have him print them, and then he fools with it, and then he'll send it to me so that I can do it. It's like, wow, what a royal pain that was. So uh, now now I can do it, and I can print it, and I can make sure everything's okay and make sure it works, and then upload it to George and let him print it too, and then collaborate after it's at least close to perfect, and but it works great with us, so all three of us, because um, it's real easy for them to look at it. That I've been staring at it on the computer for days on end, and I think it looks great. So then George looks at it, and 5 minutes later, he's like, "Dude, we need to fix this." Oh wow, how come I didn't see that?
Right.
So it's really really good having the three of us, and then of course Harry, the god of all things slot car, he looks at stuff right away and says, "Oh, you need to move this, we need to move that, we need to," So it's it's very good. This collaboration is very very good. I'm really enjoying this. I'm having fun. Um, like George said, ain't nobody getting rich off of slot cars or making them. We're not doing it for that. It's
Right.
none of us have made a penny literally off of this thing. So it's like we're doing it because we love it. We're doing it because we want to get our stuff out there, and that's why it's kind of quirky. One week we're showing you all these really cool TA cars, and the next we've got a 356 Porsche. It's like
Yeah.
whatever pops into my brain is what I feel like right now. The stupid Volkswagens. It's like I honestly that was a thing. I figured I'd be the only guy on the planet who even thought that was worth anything, and so I'm glad other people like it, and if it's popular, maybe we'll produce them. Maybe we won't. But you know what I mean? It's we've got so much. How many cars have we created, George? I don't even know right now.
There's some that we haven't even mentioned. I mean, there's one
Right?
that we
There's still
want you want to
someone.
do that we can't say anything about until they get it. But yeah, I mean, we made my car. We have a GTO. Just
Yeah, we have a
let's be
GTO
honest.
now. We really haven't said anything about, and well, the VWs we posted that, but that's been kind of the way I'm doing things. I make something and then I print it, and before I paint it or anything, I do as we call it, it's not a white kit. We call these gray kits, for obvious reasons.
Yep.
And I'll post a picture of a completed gray kit on Facebook just to see if anybody even likes it, see if there's any reaction to it whatsoever. And so far, it's been pretty positive with everything. So we just keep going on like that, and maybe some of these things will end up hitting the market. Like right now we've been messing around with these trucks. We got the Chevy and the Ford, so that's gonna be coming out eventually. I think George. I don't know. Like I said
Yeah.
yesterday, George is the manufacturing end of this dilly bobber. So if he says we're making it, then we're making it. So yeah, so we're having fun. I mean, that's bottom line. That's what we're doing. We're just having fun. So the minute this turns into a headache or starts costing us a ton of money or something like that, it's going to fold up and blow away, and we're going to go back to doing our own thing and having
Yeah.
fun by ourselves. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think some of the things that you're doing, you are providing cars that haven't been available, or they haven't been available for a very long time, or
Right.
just like the Trans Am cars, they didn't exist at all, and no one probably would have done those. And so I think that you are providing some great things that guys have wanted to do but didn't know how to make it happen. We've been surviving on model kits, and some of that's pretty limited.
Right.
From the scratch building standpoint. And then, like George said in the live stream yesterday, you guys started developing the chassis and things because some guys just really aren't into, building brass chassis, but they still want
It's a
to.
rare breed, to be honest, with the brass
Yeah.
chassis building. It's because a lot of people really look at it as, and I kind of understand the aspect. Yeah, it's a lot of work. I don't like soldering. I don't like the smell, or getting the brass. This is actually Harry's fault. The plastic chassis, right, Dave? This is
Yeah,
all
he
Harry's.
totally
Harry
Harry's
was the one
fault.
that actually wanted to mention it of all people,
Yep.
because
Yeah.
we still look at the Showdown dedicated as a brass chassis car. And at the Showdown, as a matter of fact, I will be building a brass chassis for the late model because I want to see one done for that car,
Right.
because I want to be able to show people how the new body mounting system we have, you could just easily attach it to a brass chassis too. And
Yeah.
Right.
all the
That's
other bodies are being updated as well. The old, Hudsons and the Mercuries, and Dave has been adding mounts to that because we want to be able to accommodate them as well.
Yeah,
Can't just, just stay on the proxy chassis.
yeah, and that's a great
Yeah,
addition to this.
and these kits happen by accident. I mean, I wanted
Yeah.
to I did my hot rod, and I started looking at it going, well, hell, I could print the body and all the peripheral parts to make the car, the engine, the pipes, the wheel inserts, all the things that are specific to a hot rod. And then all you got to do is build yourself a brass chassis, and you build yourself a 132 scale hot rod, which never existed anywhere. So I did that. And then Steve Sawtell was like, why don't we make this into a kit? And I was like,
Right.
okay. And that was that. And that was the first thing that he made available were those. So now I in my head, I have a whole line of hot rod kits now that I want to do, especially now that I'm getting a little more proficient with this chassis design stuff. I want to build I got a ton of cars in my head that I want to do. So
Yeah.
Again, I definitely will make them eventually. Whether they'll become a kit and become available to the world, I don't know. But there's just so many opportunities here. This has opened up a whole new world, and we've all been scratch builders. George, Harry, we're scratch builders, always have been. Build it out of brass. That was just, and if the bodies didn't exist, we carved a damn thing out of wood and made a mold and made a resin casting.
Right.
But I've gone off the deep end with this thing, man. I am literally like, it's like a job. I get everybody out of the house in the morning and I sit down at the computer and I'm designing all day. I just start building stuff, and I love it. I am eyeball deep in this, and it's not that I don't like brass anymore. I still love it. It's still it's an art in itself, but I am like, this is amazing to me that a year ago I didn't know which button to push to turn the computer on, and now I'm designing this stuff and pretty much make whatever the hell I want, and I really like this. So
Yeah.
I'm going to continue doing it. I love it. I'm just going to keep doing it.
Well, one of the first things that I noticed jumping into this hobby, and it's kind of like this rule that I live my life by, is like never stop learning, right? Never stop learning. Never stop learning. The day you stop learning, I think that you're in trouble.
Yep.
You're not using your brain, you're not using your body, you're not using, things that you're supposed to every day. And if you're continuing to learn, then you're using all those things. And so you've had to develop that, that's a new tool for you. And it's been exciting to see how you've progressed and how fast you've progressed. And then just like George has become this master 3D printer, like just understanding how resin works and the different types of resins. He's done tons of testing.
For slot car bodies.
Yeah, for slot car bodies.
That's
but,
right. Nothing else, man.
But I don't even pretend to second guess George. If George says, Dave, these are the settings we're using on the printer, I do not second guess George. I'm like, I do it and I put it in there and it works. Yep. I'm not even going to try to do that. George is the master of this stuff now. He's really dialed it in. So I am not even going to try to second guess him. So yeah, it's funny the way I've always been a good learner. I've taught myself a lot of different skills over the years. I taught myself to pinstripe. I've taught myself leather working, of all things, man. I've built custom gun holsters for people and full rigs and all that. And I self-taught completely. So that's why I did this. I thought, well, hell, if I can do that, I can do this. So here we are a year later, and we're making our own stuff.
Yeah, that's amazing. When I was growing up, my dad decided at work, he worked for RCA. They made televisions, and he decided about halfway through his career there, almost a 40-year career there, he wanted to be a machinist. And on his own, he bought books and learned and took the tests that he needed to and became a machinist the last, 10 or 12 years he was there. And
that's awesome.
So my brother and I, and my sister, we all watched my dad do that and learn at, a later age, that the age I am now, how to do those things, and that he never stopped learning. So, it's kudos to you guys. It takes energy and effort to do all that, but what byproduct of your efforts? I mean, when you get to run them around a track, that's feels pretty good to, at the end of that process, that I just made that and it flies around the track. That's cool.
Yeah, that's exactly it. George and I are going to Harry's in July here in less than a month now, and I am really looking forward to dragging all this stuff with me and who knows when we get there? Maybe we'll come up with something. We'll build something else while we're there. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
let's do this, and maybe we'll do a little live thing because we're not going to be there a huge long amount of time like normal this time because um, I've got my daughter. You guys all know moved to North Carolina and stuff, and so we're part of this deal with me going to Harry's is I'm going to go home with George because George literally lives an hour from my daughter in North Carolina. So George is going to drag me home with him, and then my wife's going to pick me up there, and I'm going to go down because my wife's going to be in North Carolina with my daughter at the time. So
Gotcha.
seeing she got a new place, so we're going to go out there and do that. So we don't have
That's
as
awesome.
much time at Harry's this year, but we're going to make the best of that time. That's for sure.
For sure. Shout out to my friend AJ. I kept that post up. AJ has a YouTube channel called The House of Masks, and he's a local guy. He was my neighbor until he moved a couple months ago, out actually near where I work. And he bought an old church and has converted it into. He has a museum, his own personal collection of masks.
Oh wow!
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Like every kind of mask you can think of, he owns. And it was here downtown in Chillicothe, and he bought this church, this old abandoned church, and converted it into his museum and where he lives. And he has a crazy channel, huge following, and we've become friends. He and his buddies used my podcast studio in the back here to record some podcast episodes, and I helped him with that, and we just got to know each other. And he keeps inviting me out to see the new place, and I haven't made it out. So AJ, I will call you and get out there in the next week or so.
Oh, that's cool. I'm gonna have to check that out. Now, is that what his channel is called? The House
Yep,
of Masks?
the House of Masks. Yeah.
Oh, I'm
And
gonna look at that because how
he's got
cool is that to have a mask collection in an old church? I mean, that's like spooky and macabre. That's like I love that stuff. That's like right up my alley. So I got to check that out.
And he's befriended, not to change the subject, but he's befriended all these like the bands that dress full masks and everything. The kind of I don't remember what the genre is called, but he's become friends with a bunch of these bands. And so he's got all these different masks from different performances, specific performances that some of these guys have performed in, and it's wild. And I just kind of happened to meet up with him through some mutual friends, and great channel. I mean, he's just a funny guy, great sense of humor, and so he jumps on every once in a while and gives me a hard time. So I love it.
I'm definitely gonna check that.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the cars like the bodies you just developed. You just developed the Volkswagen. Now I know you've owned some Volkswagens.
I can't take credit for the VW body. This is a body that's available to anyone on 3D Colts 3D. You can download this body. I think it's actually an RC body. It's like 1/10 scale or something. So I just scaled it down, and of course I have my signature mounts. So you could buy this body off of 3D Colts 3D, but you're not going to have my mount system inside of it. But
right.
So someone else designed this and everything. But yeah, that's me. I'm a Volkswagen dude. I've owned over 100 Volkswagens in my life, if you can believe that or not.
That's nuts.
So we had to have this.
Yeah, that one's cool.
This one in particular, so it is designed by somebody else. But the thing is, with other people's files, this the camera here, you can see it's not really exactly round. There's like, pixelated like squares.
Yeah, it's very polygonal, as they call it. You can see every little patch in it.
But the thing is that we have somebody that designs stuff. So what I'll do if it becomes to a point where people will want it, that car will be redesigned and paid by us. A lot of the money we get goes back into the maintenance of the machines, the supplies, and paying the machines off, and then getting more cars made. On average, it's about $150 to about $200 to get something made. And then we get, like I said, the 90-day exclusivity. Then after that, he sells them. The only difference is that we add the stuff that we do to it, and we adjust it for our purposes and add the mounts. The late model car is actually an RC car as well. That one was given to us by Pistol Pete. And we want to thank Pistol Pete for turning us on to that, because if it wasn't for him, those cars I've really fallen in love with. I built 3 of them already, so that tells you I like them a lot. Not that I don't like the other ones, but those ones right there are really cool because that's really a big part of Americana, that the late model races are all over the country, and that's what they do is asphalt circle track. And if you go to a couple of Facebook pages, they show those cars, and that's what really got us kinda drawn to them a lot and what started this, the proxy that we're talking about for home racing for Labor Day. That's specifically for that car and that model. We'll get that one redesigned too. That's gonna be the next one because there are some slightly different front ends on some of the cars. If you look at them, some of them have a Camaro nose, some are Camrys, believe it or not. They just
Right.
say Camry, but they're narrow like that. But well, we already have the existing other cars as, front faces from the TA cars. So for him to just transfer and then redesign something, it won't be as much. If he has to start from scratch, it'll be about $200. If it's something as existing that we've done, it'll be a little less. But still, regardless, it costs money. Nobody's gonna wanna well, I wouldn't say that. I paid to make my GTO. I paid $100 to have that done. And that's this car right here, and
Oh
it
yeah.
is exactly unlike my car, and that's why,
Nice.
I had him do it. So, we already have a chassis for this car. We wanna make it a Trans Am car. I wanna do some few adjustments on it that I had to talk to Dave about, but we've been busy with the other stuff, so it's it that's the dedication part of it, and then with Dave doing all the chassis work, it really makes it nice because he's doing all that work. I haven't really done much on Blender, very little. He's the master at the Blender part and making the chassis. So it's nice to have him do that and then, print that out.
I'm digging these trucks. I want to. These things
Yeah,
are
those are
cool.
gonna
Now
be good.
the Chevy Haas, as Harry calls it, he actually got that file from a guy, and then we modified it a little bit with the tonneau cover and the all of the spoilers and whatnot on it. But then the Ford, the Ford, I made this one. It doesn't exist anywhere. This is just mine. This started out as a 1/18th scale model kit is what it was, and it had interior, it had a full chassis, just like you would buy a model kit right now with all those parts. So I had to sort through all that stuff and remove what I didn't want, and then on top of that, it was a long bed. So I shortened and cut the bed and put it back together so it matches in wheelbase with the Chevy, so they're about the
Gotcha.
same. And then of course I added all the spoilers. Um, Oh, and I removed all the trim, like it had, the cutouts for the door handles and all that stuff, and it had all the emblems and everything all over it. I removed all that stuff, so it's nice and smooth, just like the Haas truck. So yeah, it's fun. I can sometimes I can't. And I added the flares too. I took the flares off of the Chevy and added
Yeah.
them to the Ford so that they kind of match.
Yeah.
But I enjoy doing this stuff too. I can't wait until I'm good enough to design the bodies myself. But for now, I'm happy being able to chop up other people's work and put it together and make my
Right.
own Frankenstein stuff out of it.
DG wants to know how long does it take to print one body, George?
Um,
On
so with the
average.
Saturn, it uses what's called a fast speed print. So if you use So we do it at 30 millimeters of layers. It's the layer height. So 0.30 mm. It'll take 3.25 hours. So some, depending on the size of the car, sometimes 2.5 hours to 3.5 hours, depending. If you go the lower in layer heights, then it gets a lot longer, the printing time. So yeah, somebody mentioned that packed dry ice. We talked about that shipping the cars.
Yeah.
But yeah, generally about, so say those cars right there, the late models, it'll take about 3 hours to print because I want them to come out nice and smooth. The bodies really don't need any primer. We've proven that. That Volkswagen Bug, I used some cheap Krylon paint and cheap clear. That's all I did with that. And then I used that paint pen to make the fenders blue in the last video I just posted. I
Yeah.
mean, that is with those paint pens. So I mean, it it's something really simple, and it just,
Right.
cleared it up, and it was good to go. But yeah, that's about them. A typical amount of time with 4 machines, I could knock out 4 cars within. I can knock out 8 to 12 cars in one day if I stay on it most of the day, because there's also post processing, which is putting them in alcohol and waiting 40 minutes, breaking them off, and then cleaning them again, letting them sit for another 15 minutes. My falcon's missing a rivet.
John, all
And
right.
then the curing time is 15 minutes, and then the car's done. So yeah, John, I sent him a chassis. I don't know if he put it together yet. He had the resin
We'll print
chassis.
John another rivet.
Yeah.
They'll send it to you in the mail.
We'll send you a rivet, John.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
we're
one
not
thing. I
using
feel like your
resin on it,
detail's
so.
good too.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what really helped. It makes the detail come out nice, and it doesn't have many of those print lines. And then
Yeah.
we use anti-aliasing on feature on it, and there's just a grayscale on it as well that you could adjust. But yeah, you can do it with no primer. It's really, if you sand it really well, like nice how Harry showed his videos, and then just hit a paint on it. So example of no primer. Okay, this car right here, the color shift. I did not use any primer on this. Okay, this car shifts nicely. This I
Yeah,
use the
looks good.
SMS paint. I really like the SMS paint. I shot this with black, which is the jet black,
Yeah.
and then I cleared it, and then I hit Quicksilver on it, and then I cleared it, and then I hit the color shift Alien. This is the call Alien, and then I cleared it again, and no problem. This doesn't chip or it's smooth, so it holds up fine. So
It
you
looks
can do
good.
it without primer. And Dave's done it also with the black one. So your black.
What issue is Gary talking about there?
Windows been solved.
I didn't realize we had an issue with the windows.
Yeah, Gary, you might want to
Elaborate
elaborate.
on that.
Yeah, so they can answer your question. Yeah, I like it when you tell someone that your hobby is slot cars and they just look at you like, "Huh?" Yeah, we've all had that.
all the time.
Yeah, that happens.
Everybody knows
every
model
day.
trains more than they do soft slot cars, so it's
Yeah, I
Or they
always have
say,
to
"You mean
explain
those
it.
little cars that we played with when we were
yeah.
kids?" Those
Well, it's of course, right.
Yeah, yeah. I actually leave a slot car on my desk at work so that I can just refer to it. That's what I'm talking about. I just pull it down off the shelf.
This is a slot car right there. That's a good idea. That's a very good idea.
Because I get that all the time. People are like, "You went to Michigan for what?" I don't understand.
Yeah. Don't get it.
You
But
did commentary for a race? I'm like, yeah. And you just get to a point where you're like, yeah, just watch Fox. I'm on the NASCAR race. I just did the announcing for it this past weekend. Indy 500.
Also I've been trying to figure out things that will make, you can't see it behind me because I'm in the way, but my bench looks like a bomb blew up on it over there.
Mine does too.
I've been trying to figure out ways to do things. In fact, I didn't even show this one to George yet. The other night, I printed this little caddy that's on my desk over there for the paintbrushes and stuff, and it's really very good organized. I'll send you the file, George, so you can print it. But
Okay,
we came up with, we got this little, it's just a little block to put your motors on. There's a little indentation for them. They won't go sliding away. It's totally stupid, but it helps that they're all in one place. I don't have to go rooting through a fishing tackle box to look for the motors. The next thing I'm going to do is make a lid for it so I can stack them on top of each other. I also made one for gears, so all the gears fit in there.
Yeah.
It's just dumb little things like that, but they're helpful. Just
Right.
to organize your bench. It's not something I like want to sell or anything like that. It's just something that I like doing. It's like, oh, I need a little thing to hold all my stupid motors. So I sit there and spend 4 hours designing the dumb thing, and it works. And again, it's another thing with just learning to use this blender. It's so much things have opened up that you can do. Like you were talking about that 2-finger deal for your controller.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, man, I need to think of something like that, that's helpful.
That can be done for you easily.
Yeah.
What's that, George?
So you could design that easily. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
For sure.
But it's just one of those things, it's like there's only so much minutes in the day, as Harry says, and then it's like, where do I fit that in? What else do I not do so I can do that? It's.
Gary says, can people request a certain car?
They can.
No.
It would just cost.
Well,
it
you
would cost
can.
money.
I said no, but
George, no. No, hell no.
Okay, Gary, I'll tell you what. You want a certain car? Send us $500 because that's
There
what
you
it'll
go.
take to do it
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
all the printing and because this is what happens. And I'm not trying to be a jerk about it, but
Right.
you saw a short video where I dump all those chassis and bodies. That's from testing, and a lot of
Yep.
times is, whoa, that didn't work out the way it should have in the Cheeto box. It didn't print the way it should. The
Yep.
size is wrong, the scale is wrong, a mount wasn't right, one mount's off, the interior doesn't fit. It's a process of just, you know, process of elimination and making sure you get it right, and then making sure, mistakes do happen later, like we'll catch things. Oh, great, those chassis are no good. We just updated this. I'll have to toss them all out because I'm
Right.
not gonna put an undated chassis that we've changed already and then cause a problem. That's the whole deal with this. Also, we all have to 3 communicate what we're doing, because if one person does something different, that's just gonna really shift everything, and then when
Right.
that person gets that, they're gonna go, "Well, I thought this was," we don't wanna
Yep.
do that. But yeah,
Why does mine
it's
look
not
different?
cheap. Yeah, the bottles of resin are, 50 bucks, 40 bucks. The time, I mean, the print, you look at what,
Yep.
2.5 to print, 3 hours to print, and then to clean it. In total, you're looking at like 5 hours of work. So after you get it off the printer, you have to let it soak for 45 minutes to an hour. Break it off, clean it real good in the clean bath, let it sit for another half to 45 minutes, then grab it and put it in your curing machine, which is another 15 minutes, and then the car is done. So it's a lot of work. So, but you gotta understand it's not something that I could just go, "Yeah, I'll just put it in the oven and, it's a cake."
Right. Yeah.
Doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Well, I think you guys have been great about showing the process through your live streams and just, when you guys talk about it. I mean, it's not like you've said, hey, we just snap our fingers and we got the car. Like you have shared just the amount of time, Dave, you've put in developing the chassis, and like George, you've shared about like the number of iterations. I mean, you sent me 4 or 5 iterations of the chassis, and then you switched from resin printing the chassis to um, printing, with the
Lithium.
rig. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you sent me one of those chassis, and like that's 4 or 5 different iterations of the same chassis for the
Mm,
same car. And so you were
yep.
developing all of those things. It all adds up. There's a ton of waste that happens
Yep.
when you're making prototypes. It
Wow.
was, yeah,
That doesn't include the failures, and, when you have a failure, you have to clean everything out. That's what people don't do. When they have a failure, they do the tank cleaning, and then they peel the layer off on the bottom, but they don't know if there's a particle or something big floating in there, and
yeah,
then when the plate comes down, it puts a hole in the FEP, or worst case scenario, it'll destroy the screen. So the
That's
screens are changeable. They're like about 180 bucks, 150 bucks, something like that. That's the LCD screen I'm talking about when you
yeah,
damage that. The films, they're about, I think if you get 5 for like 40 bucks, and they last 60,000 pulls. The machine will tell you, "Hey, do you wanna continue printing? You reached your maximum amount of,
and
pulls." That's every time the FEP is being yanked, or not yanked, but, you know, pulled up. You can go further, but you risk having a problem, so then I change them out, and then I have to get extra tanks because I could, if I have one where I need to change it or it's got a hole and it kinda looks terrible, I could put that off to the side, put the extra tank, and resume, and then change that one.
yeah,
Changing them takes time also. You got little screws and take them off. The newer ones are a little bit better. The newer ones are heated, so now your resin's heated. I only have 2 of them. I have an external heater that I plug in when it's winter days to do that, but the new ones are heated vats, the 16Ks. They're really good machines. And, this is the thing when you get prints, as you said before, Marty, garbage in, garbage out. You get these prints, you're kinda like, it's like life is like a box of chocolates. You know what the hell you're gonna get.
yeah.
Once you get it and you put it on there, this was the
For sure.
exciting thing when we first started doing it. It's like, "Oh, man, we can print these. This is cool." And you print it and you're like, "What the hell is this?
yeah,
This
it's
looks
like, what
nothing
is this shit?
like the
Doesn't look
the
anything like the
file just
picture.
terrible." And it looks like crap, and you're like, "Oh,
Right.
this sucks," it's not what I thought it would be. It's actually work, so
Yep.
but
Yeah, the guys are feeding you potential models
I see that.
subconsciously
Yeah,
DW,
in
when's
the
Chop
it
chat.
Chop
Mercury,
Merc? Yeah.
Chopped Mercury,
55 Nomad,
55
a dune
Nomad. Yeah,
buggy.
that's a good one. Yeah.
a sprint car. I
Yeah, well, it's a little bit too. I
it's
don't know.
pretty.
That's more a little bit intricate. So when you have
Yeah, it's
smaller
tough.
parts and bars and stuff, that starts becoming more difficult to deal with because you're starting to get into the world of like figurines and Warhammer stuff, and
Right.
that takes a lot to deal with. And that's something I don't really want to venture into because they start putting supports on it, and then you have to be careful not to destroy what what you've been supporting, to remove them. So it's a lot of the post work gets more, how would you say, a lot more work, and
Yeah.
you have to sit there and make sure you don't break it. And there's a method to doing things like if you pull it too early, you could crack it, and which I've done that. Like I haven't done that. I've done that a few times, and then like you know, you want to say that, but you're like
Yeah.
really mad at yourself because you're like, I just wasted all this resin and I
Fudge.
just busted
Yep.
the body. Yeah. So,
Well,
and then
we
also
also
how you position it.
we want to try to pay it forward a little bit too. So I've been upgraded on my printer out here. I got the new 16K, which is still sitting in my living room in a box. I just haven't had the moment to put it up. But I'm very limited on space, so I can have two resin printers in the space that I have available to put them because you can't have them in the house. We already tried that. Bad idea.
Yeah.
So they're outside in the hot water closet is where I do all my 3D printing for that stuff. So, anyways, I have the small one, the little Mars printer that George and Harry got me in the very beginning when we first started all this. You know, George got his first printer, and them sons of guns dragged me down the rabbit hole by getting me a printer. And
What are friends for?
so I have that little printer is out there, but I need the space to put the big printer. So what I'm doing is I'm going to pay it forward. It was given to me. So I've already talked to him. He's in the chat. I told Tad he's been talking about he wants to try this and try that. He really loves being able to print the figures, and that little Mars is perfect for that. So
Yeah.
once I get it out of there and get it cleaned up, I'm going to box it up and send it to Tad so then he can start down the rabbit hole of printing his own driver figures and interiors and whatever else he wants to print with the darn thing. So
That's awesome.
that's where we're going. So like I say,
Good on you
this is a
guys.
community, and I love helping people, and I know George does too, and obviously Harry's been helping people for 40 years. So it's so I wanted to do that. It was like, what am I going to do with this thing? I don't need it anymore, but I don't want to sell it to somebody. That seemed wrong. It was like it was a
Right.
gift. So I checked with Harry and George first, and I said, this is what I want to do, and they were both on board. Hell yeah, great idea. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
welcome to the darkness, there, Tad.
Yeah. And man, couldn't be for a better guy. Tad's
Right.
great. I love his channel, and his builds are fantastic. And his
Yep.
his new test track that he built, the one lane,
Yeah, it's awesome.
it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
I thought he did an awesome job painting it. So
Yeah, me too.
well done,
It's
Tad.
awesome.
Well done. I'm trying to make sure that we get
Any
don't forget
questions?
some Aussie cars. Lots of
we
ideas.
already did one actually. That GTO is an Australian car. You should know that's
Yep.
a Monaro. It's just
Yep.
funny version. Going back to the types of cars. So here's the thing with that. Yeah, we could make, these cars you guys are mentioning, but you got to look at it. And we have to thank Steve Sawtell and Bob Bianchi. And we had a big shout out to Oscar Azevedos because he's from Slot Invasion. He's been
Yeah.
putting those guys in the kits. That's something really big.
It is big.
Only use Slot Invasion guides on everything because they're the best guide in my opinion, and you could tell because the people who do, yep, the people who do all those races, like at Electric Dreams, all these other tracks, they're using Slot Invasion guides too. So we want to thank him for doing that. That's a plus.
That's right.
And again, Steve has been the one that's been supporting us by purchasing these printers. So
Yep.
he's told me, you think it'd be good if we get you another one? Do you have the room for it? So this way we keep up with what we need, with our needs. And I said, yeah, sure. That's no problem. So we got to thank him and, SCC and Slot Invasion. They've been our really big supporters. Nobody else. And again, now if we print a bunch of cars like, like say the Doom buggies, I don't think they would sell. Steve's going to be stuck with cars that he's not calling. It's like, it's not really feasible for him, so we're only going to really go after things that we think that will be popular. it may be a great thing for you. Like that GTO I did on my own, I don't know if that's gonna be popular. I'm happy with just having it for myself because I wanted it.
Yeah.
But I'll put it out there and see what happens, and if it's not popular and we just, won't sell it, there's no reason to keep him giving him stuff that it's just gonna sit on the shelf. That's just not gonna be, a good idea. But that's why certain cars will do, certain cars will do. 2 Ferrari 250 GTOs, those things are all over the place.
Yep.
Chevy Cobra Daytona, that one, maybe not only Revell had that one, I think, and there's a couple of kits. But any
Yeah.
European car, like, from Europe, again, the culture is different there. There's a lot of Ferraris and all that, or they call them Italian cars because you can't really say Ferrari in the slot car, you know,
Right.
store. Uh, they're gonna make all that stuff because that's what the car manufacturers grew up with, and they're gonna make. They're not gonna make a Chevy truck, I'll tell you. They're just not gonna do that, like what we've come up with. But that's
Yeah.
what 3A3D is. It attacks the area of people that the cars that nobody makes, which is American iron mainly. And I mean American iron, not
Right.
sports car, GT40, stuff like that, Camaro, Trans Am, Chevy truck, Corvette, the things that we grew up with.
Right.
And that's
Yeah, but
why I
there's
think it's
some of them aren't worth doing. Like, you mentioned the GT40. My God, there's a million GT40s
I
out
don't
there.
know.
There'd
Yeah.
really be no reason to do it other than you just want to make one for yourself or whatever. But,
Yeah.
That's a readily available car. But there's a lot of them that aren't. Like, I think it was Michael Squire was telling me the other day the C4 Corvette. There's no C4 Corvette slot car,
No,
right?
there isn't.
No, nothing.
There you go.
No.
Might be a one that we might be able to think about. Something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the advantage you have with your process is you can cherry pick those cars that
Yeah.
really nobody's ever done.
Right.
Yeah. And so, it doesn't make any sense for you to do a car that's been done by every slot car company, just about.
Right.
The GT40
Exactly.
is one of them. I mean, the GT40 is one of my favorite cars. It was awesome to see a GT40
Yeah.
sitting in the middle of that digital track this past weekend. That was a
Right.
Ford. That was a prototype that they gave the museum. Super, super cool. Like it was amazing. But every slot car company has just about has made one of those.
Yeah. They're
because they're
readily
popular.
available, and they're even you can even get if you want a 124 scale, and BRM even makes it in a 124 scale. So
Yep,
they're
that's right.
they're totally available everywhere. But there are exceptions. The Porsche, the 356. Ninco
The Ninko
flooded the
ones,
market
the
with
Ninko
those
cars
things.
that
They
you
were
can't get
everywhere.
anymore. Yeah.
But you can't get them anymore unless you buy them secondhand,
Yeah.
obviously, and pay the premium. So that's why we decided to do that. I was like, these little classics, that needs to be a thing. And so
Right.
we had him design this. This is not a copy of the Ninko. In fact, this is the very first. This is the 356-2, I think it was called. It's the very first car that Ferdinand Porsche
Oh, dude, that looks
designed.
great.
It's
Yeah, I mean,
tiny.
right?
That car, I
It's a
love.
tiny
They're-
car. Look how tiny it
they're
is.
just
They made a
badass.
Lexan interior for it. That's why you can't have a full interior. It's a tiny car.
Yeah,
It takes
it's so
14
small.
by 6 wheels. It's super
Right.
small. It's not anything, large. I can't get it from the camera every time. But
Yeah, so like George is saying, I had to create a buck for the interior because we couldn't put anything in there. There's no room between the wheels and the quarter panels. So I made a Lexan interior for them, and it's vac-formed, so it's got a driver figure vac-formed into the Lexan, and then it's got a resin head that you pop on it. So I mean, there's definitely a driver in there,
Oh yeah,
So
that's fantastic.
so it's also racy, right? It's got a Lexan interior, It's like
Right.
ooh.
Light, be fast.
It's lightning, right? So
Well,
this one's
speaking of
coming.
racing-
This one's definitely coming.
yeah, that one is. And then we may think of other stuff too that, the Ninko stuff. So this is one thing about talking about the racing. There have been some clubs that have, want to try out cars that I've sent as, to test. So Auto Enthusiast is one of them. He's out of Mississippi. He drives, I think, an hour and a half to work or something like that. He works for Edelbrock, and it's in another part of the state, and the track is close by to his work. And he was talking about he's building the Camaro right now, and I told him, well, I'll send you a kit and you see if you like it, and then if you guys do, you go to Stock Car Corner and make yourself your class. There's different models, and then you have yourself your own class. Motown Raceway out of I think Modesto, I think it is. I can't
Yep,
remember
Modesto.
Stockton, but Modesto. So I've been there. I was there when I was with the GTO Car Club, and I did an event there that I ran for slot car racing. Of course, I kicked everybody's ass because they didn't know what they were doing, but um, it was a lot of fun. But that's when I saw Motown Raceway a few times, and I think Jim Rose is the one that races there a lot. And I've sent him a few cars, and to the owner of it, I told him, if you guys are interested, just talk to Steve about getting a couple and starting a series, which they do want to start a series in October. So
Yeah.
that's kind of a positive thing. That's one thing that really I like, is that if somebody could get these cars and make them club race cars and enjoy them, cool. Because nobody's gonna, like I said, they're not gonna make Trans Am club cars or truck club cars, or they're
Right.
gonna have all the European stuff and some American stuff, which some of it isn't, I don't think, all that correct as far as scale goes. We try and also make the cars really scale correct. I'm picky as hell. You ask Dave, the first Challenger, I was freaking picking it left and right every time I print it. I go, this ain't right, man. This doesn't look good. And then I had to adjust this, and I talked to the designer. Hey, can you do this? Which he was really cool about it, and he had fixed this. I really, that car in particular is something I really worked hard to really make it look good, and it looks good. And that's the whole, you know,
Yep.
thought process behind this. The one you have is a little bit taller, Marty, and a little bit more square. And that was one of the things that I had thought about, Ted, there you go, that I wanted to make this more, um, you know, like this. So I get obsessed when I look at photos and videos, and I kind of want to make the car look the part and also be scale correct as well. So, and Harry
I
goes
used
over that
to,
too.
when we were developing that Challenger, and I know George picked the Challenger first because it's my car, right? So
Right.
our very first car is going to be that. That was, and I totally appreciate that. I loved him for that. But after about a week, I dreaded getting up in the morning. It's like, fuck, there's 12 check. Oh, sorry. There's 12 text messages from George. I know he's going to fucking change something again. It's like, damn it.
You gotta change the chassis again.
That's
Dave,
great.
we need to make this taller. We need to make this longer. I'm like, oh, okay, George.
Doesn't
But you
look
know what?
right. I'm looking at videos and
Yeah,
stuff, and then I'm
Yeah.
like feeding him all this.
he was,
Well,
he
I
was
mean,
And of
if
course, he
100%
didn't.
but you're
right.
right. You could see it. It wasn't what you wanted. So you made it
Right.
what you wanted.
Because the first thing somebody's gonna say is, that doesn't look right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
we've
too
had that
small.
happen on the forum board. We had the dart, the
Yeah.
wheelbase wasn't exactly correct on the chassis, and we fixed it right away because somebody noticed it. And see,
Yep.
I
and
see
I was like, yeah, it is off a little.
Mad Mad P's talking about. Let me show. I'm going to give away my secret. Okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
actually, it's the secret of dentists. Just so you understand that, keep that in mind. The secret of dentists is how we do
The
this.
secret
The secret
dentist.
of dentist.
Okay, so this one is for this is for the Haas Chevy. So as you can see, I have a Vac-form windshield in there. So what I do in Blender is, well, I have the body in Blender. I create a buck. So if I had this body off, you could see this buck is the same. It's the windshield, and it's a little bit undersized because obviously the material has to fit. So I make like 4 of these, and I have a Vac-form machine, one of the little dental Vac-form machines, hence the secret dentist thing there George talking about. And that's what I use. This is the butt to make. I put them in the Vac-form machine and suck them down over that, and now we got 4 windshields at a time, and that's how I make my windshield. So it has the correct curvature and everything. It's right. And because I undersize them, you can put the windows in from the back side, so they actually sit in the hole like a real piece of glass, not just a straight piece that sits way. If you looked
Yeah.
at that in scale, it would be this far inside the car. But this is right. At least I do the best I can on all of them. Again, I'm not a blender expert, so I'm doing. But most of them, 99.9% of them, they look really good. They fit perfectly. So. That's something I don't think anybody else does or would do. They sell, I see there's a lot of guys out there that print, car bodies, but nobody's offering Vac-form glass that I know of. I think Dave Volk does over in Australia.
Yeah.
I think he goes the extra mile as well, and he creates bucks and he does his own windows as well. So, but it's not the norm.
The late model cars, you'll get a flat piece of plastic because that
The
basically
windows are
is
flat.
you just trim it and put it over the outside of it because it has
Yeah,
the
because
channel where you there's no way to make really a vacuum form for it.
it's actually like a real car. The window is it's like bonded from the outside. There is a flange on the inside instead of the outside, and the window sits flush when you put it in. So it's very simple to cut the glass out and set it right in there. It's also just straight glass. So no reason to go to all the trouble to make these. I'll just supply a nice piece of Lexan with each car, and you can cut them out and put them in.
Yeah, Sean said that he ran his today and was super impressed with how the car ran.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bent the chassis and what did it say there? Hold on a second.
Oh,
Go back.
I'll go back. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
he
it
left
said
he left it out in the heat in the car, and it bent, so he had to straighten the chassis.
yeah, I didn't-
Which
I
car is
wonder how
that?
I did. Now I gotta ask him that. He got the Camaro. See now that
Come
I
here.
wish he would have texted me. I would have gave him another chassis. I don't
Yeah,
want
it's not
people to
another
have to
damn
do
chassis.
that.
Was it
Uh,
the Camaro or the 55? Because he has a
no,
55.
is it? I don't know. I don't know which one he has. I know. I sent him a Camaro Trans Am
Yeah.
car, but I need if he bought something else. But yeah, we don't want you to go through that. We'd rather have you tell us, and then we'll at least he's got my number. Or text me, and then I'll just
Yeah.
send you another chassis. You're only in Mississippi. That's like a stone's throw to send it to you.
Bob says part design, testing, cleaning, assembly, 3D printing can be super in-depth hobby. Very complimentary to the slot car hobby. We all love. Yep.
Thank you. Appreciate
Absolutely.
that. And again, a lot of these guys, like not Shapeways, it's Mitch. He does prints and he sells them for FC Lee is his name. He sells them for the Trans Am Scalextric cars. He does really nice work on those, by the way. He does it with PTEG to where it's a nice smooth surface on every certain angles because they have angles. And he does real nice work, but he's told me I won't do resin. He goes, that is just it's messy. That's the thing. It's messy. It's not smelly because the machines contain it. As long as you open a window, I'm in the garage. Obviously, it's not in the house, and I'm smelling it all the time. But it's
Yeah, don't put it in your house.
people will not do that because of the mess and the process it takes to get to that point. And some guys have done it. Like Pistol Pete, Jerry. They've done it and they know what you go through. So I mean, you have to be willing to deal with all that. But a lot of people will go to FDM before they'll do anything resin.
We
Yeah.
did it
Oscar.
I think
backwards.
George.
Yeah. Oscar says that
Oscar.
George doesn't sleep much.
Oh, I sleep well. I only work 3 days a week, so I have 4 days to
Yeah.
take. That's why I'm able to do this. If I had to work 5 days a week and doing this, I don't know if I'd be doing it. It'd be
Right.
kind of like I'd only do it for my enjoyment, not to you know,
Yep.
to sell them. That's be so I have the time, so I take the time to, obviously I do my husbandly duties as well on top of that, so I make sure I have time for that. But
I'm not sure
it's
which Corvette Harry's talking about. How much does your Corvette weigh? Are we
well,
talking
it
about the,
weighs about it's under 100 grams. There's the road racer one, the coupe, and the convertible we haven't really released because we're trying to figure something out with that. We're concerned about the window, the little it's kind of delicate, so we're
yeah,
kinda, like, afraid to release
Yeah, the
that,
front
so
the we found out the windshield frame. There's no supporting to it at all,
right.
so it moves around very easily. So it's not
yeah,
really.
you
I don't think it's going to work too good. So again, we don't want to put something out there. It looks fantastic, right? But I don't know if they'd even survive shipping, to be quite honest. And then I wouldn't
yeah,
want that out there floating around. So
Let's see. Hey Joe, welcome. Tad said he was
Joe.
ready. He appreciates it. I know you do, Tad.
We'll
Rob
make figures.
says
He likes the figures.
Rob's telling Dusty that he believes CG makes sprint cars. I'm
There
not
you
sure I've
go.
seen
Yeah,
that, but
CG,
do they?
Changing Gears. That's
Yeah, that's Matt.
Steve knows him. Yeah, Matt, he knows Changing Gears. They have a lot of printers there. They got real expensive printers.
Yeah,
You could get real expensive printers. Their prints are beautiful, and, they do a good job. But
they
again,
do.
we're just a small thing, and this
Yep.
is a small thing to bring something to the masses. I know they don't make bodies, so you know, but they make great chassis. I like their chassis.
and they make really great peripheral parts too. Like before we started
Yeah.
doing this myself, I bought all my inserts were
Yep.
CG suck art stuff. You know,
And they were actually the first ones to bring the truer back because nobody had a truer. They were the first
Yeah.
ones to throw it
right?
out there. I have one of the truers. And
Yeah.
then I guess Mid America finally caught on to, hey, because there was only Huddy.
Right.
There was John Razor. Harry and Dave know John Razor. So
Raider
John Razor,
John,
Razor John, he used to make. I have one of his. Harry gave me one. He had 5 of them, and he gave me one and said, take this one. I was like, cool. So
I
that
still
one's
have my
been around
tire
a long
Raider.
time. Yeah,
Smart
you
car,
still have one.
please, Paul.
Yeah,
Smart car,
yeah, you keep thinking that way,
smart cars and
but
Yugos. We could have a really good race there.
You
yeah,
guys.
I'll call the shitbox race if you wanna call it
There
that.
you go.
Yeah, yeah. But the Razor John, I do have a Roadrunner, but it's not a good file. Uh,
Yeah, it's a
the,
terrible file.
Razor John stopped making them, and then what he was doing something kinda like undercutting his people that he was selling to, and then they just kinda told me, "We're not gonna deal with that." I can't get into what he did, but that's what caused that truer to disappear, and then we didn't have a truer for how many years, Harry? I mean, Dave, how many years has it been before
It
CG
was
came out? It
quite a
was a
few
few
years.
years.
No tour. Yeah,
Sure. And finally, when CG came out with one, it was kinda nice. That's why I was excited when they
yeah.
had it, so a nice truer, but yeah, they make good stuff. Good
Yeah,
stuff. So
Joe.
it's this Joe.
Yeah, Joe. I didn't get to show him. That's one of the reasons why I took the Mustang with me because I was going to get to show Joe because we got to meet in person, um, so he could see the body and how you guys designed the interior to go in there. They don't snap in, Joe, but you would
No,
glue them
they're
in or tape them
yeah,
in however you wanted to. But if you used resin glue, like the resin, it's like permanent.
epoxy.
Yeah, the
You
epoxy.
you will
It
destroy
be
the car trying to take the interior out.
yeah,
That's how strong it is.
yeah,
They have channels and they fit in the groove. You open it up and fit it in, and they're like a compression fit. Some will fit a little loosey, some will fit tighter. I'd rather have them a little loose so they don't spread the body,
right.
and so this way you could, you know, put it on the chassis. But they're all compression. Once you could tape them if you want, if you don't want to put them there permanently. But if you
I
do
know.
use resin glue, UV glue with the light, that'll cure it, and that'll be it. You will
Yeah.
not remove
I know
that.
what
That will
Joe's.
not
I know what Joe's talking about, though. You know, Dave Volk, to bring him up again. He's got a pretty neat little system where his interiors just snap in. It's
mhm.
got a little wedge at the front, and then they snap in, and then you don't have to use any glue whatsoever. You can pop them in and out if you want to. And I've thought about doing that. In fact, I started tinkering with it, and my system wasn't working that well. So maybe if I can refine something like that, it might be something good. Because I actually think it's a great idea to be able to take the interior out if you need
Oh,
to.
there you
So
go,
I
NorCal
Yep.
will.
Summer, first series,
September
September
12th.
12th.
That's
September
awesome.
So
12th.
you let you Jim, make sure you get a hold of Steve and or me, and because I'll talk to you about that. Get a hold of me when you guys are ready, because
I
there was something you wanted to discuss. I can't tell you say on here, so
yeah. I have Jim's contact information. I can send it to you, George.
yeah. No, I have his number.
Oh, do you?
I just
Okay, cool,
yeah,
cool.
it's just he needs to get a hold of me because there's something they want to discuss about getting them. So
Okay, cool.
because I won't sell directly out for me, it all has to go through Steve. I don't do that.
Yeah.
That's one thing I tell people. I don't sell. I'm not gonna sell an end around Steve Sawtell. I won't do that. This is all through him. So
Uh, John has a question. Are more challengers on the way? I like one to be the next build.
yes, so I have a box of 45 cars. So I was gonna ship them out Tuesday, and then Steve called me and goes, there's quite a heat wave over there. So that's why hence came this testing the late model car that I have sitting in the trunk of my car in freaking 113-degree temperature to see how it'll endure.
Yeah.
So we're gonna wait till next week, but they will be available possibly the following week. They're gonna be sent to Bob directly in New Hampshire. So as soon as he gets them, they're gonna it'll be available. Steve will turn them on the store. So give them till next week, and we'll take care of that. We're getting ideas to using, like I said, gradient barrier type, to cover the inside of the box to help with heat. But it looks like they do well as long as you don't put pressure on any of the models. They're in a nice long box, And as long as they're loosely sat in there, you don't have no rubber band on it or nothing leaning on it or, like weight on top of it going through the box onto the model, then it'll be fine. So yeah, it's just we're gonna wait till next week till the heat
Yeah,
wave dies
Sean
down here
says
in
it
North
was the
Carolina.
Camaro, George.
It was.
He said it was fine until he
He
left
said
the
it's
car
my
in his
fault.
car today.
He said he left it where?
In
In his car.
In the
in his
truck.
truck at work today.
Yeah. Now, if you have like weight on it or something, it's gonna do that. The PLA Plus is pretty it's pretty flexible. I mean, it will shift a little, but that's probably the second time I've heard that. The first one was someone else that we talked to. It was the guys that we know, and we took care of him. I sent him a chassis and body right away. I was like, you don't have to deal with. She was going to try and straighten out the chassis, and I don't want him to do that. And then the body was bowed in a little because they had used a rubber band. That's why we had talked to Steve. Don't use rubber bands anymore because again, you don't know, and it'll squeeze it. Just like when you put it in those Tamiya frame holders for doing the bodies. I don't even use those because they eventually start spreading the body out, even on the first cars we were doing. I was like, and these will do it also. So I was like, I just put tape in a little bottle, and then that's my mount. So because I don't want to distort the body.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you leave them in high heat, I know Mississippi has probably been hot lately. It's yeah. But if you need another chassis there, Sean, let me know and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, Jim says that
Okay, so
Motown they've talked to Slot
right.
Car Corner.
Cool.
So
Cool. All right.
says the deal is in place. Yeah, Paul,
All
I
right,
use
cool.
I like to use masking tape too if I know that I'm going to have to take if I'm tuning and I need to take the interior in and out. Masking tape works great. Yeah, that's what I do with my scratch build stuff too.
The interiors took a lot of work from Dave. He really put a lot of heart into those interiors, and then to get them the right shape, and then testing them, some would be too wide, and that's where all that Brennan errors go was
Yep.
interiors.
Right.
You don't want them spreading the body, so when they get them, they're like all spread out. And like in the videos, you can pull them out to remove the interior, but you just got to be careful. You can't overextend it because they will break. I did put one out. A Trans Am car was the Challenger. I had it sat out in the backyard, exposed the elements for like 3 weeks. There was a thunderstorm a couple of days too, where it just rained and poured on it. It did okay. The roof sagged a little, but when you grab it, they do get brittle.
Yeah.
And it'll break because the exposure to the weather, raw resin, what's to expect it. But I've been doing a lot of things to try and see where we're at with how it would be transported and how they get handle exposure. I know Harry has painted a truck and he left it outside in the Missouri heat and he didn't have a problem with it. So
That's cool. Yeah, Jerry asks, are the resin bodies that guys are using in the showdown car okay in the mail during this heat?
I think they should
yeah,
be
as long as they're in a
nothing's sitting on top of them or anything.
And then Fall Guy asks, do you sell cars already put together?
No.
Nope, you sell
No.
kits. Yeah.
The cars are not very hard to put together. You do need tools. This is something for it could be for novice hobbyists if they get the tools that they need.
Yep.
It's
Both
not
of you
something
have
can just grab your parts and throw together.
Yeah, both of you have videos putting these kits together. So both George and Dave have done videos.
The the inserts are the really key part too. I mean, those are really easy to do. And as a matter of fact, I think Dave, we've talked about it today. I think Dave is going to do is make the hole the actual same size as the insert, so you don't have to drill it. All you have to do is just push it in. So
Yeah,
he's going to work on that.
Been looking at that. It's I've broken one. I've only broke one myself drilling these out, but I can see the potential for somebody who's not not super light-handed. You break these off easily. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to increase the size of that hole to just under the size of the insert, so you can just press it right in without drilling anything.
See, there's no more test.
This is what do you call it? Testing on the fly. These are the things that they get out in there, and you find out little things, and it's just something very small and little, but it's helpful, and makes the thing better as we go. So.
So
Mad
Matt
Pete.
P's
Yeah.
ABS. No, we've only used the PLS stuff. To be honest, Mad P. But I mean, I'd be willing. If you want to shoot me an email and tell me what you use, I'd be willing to try it. My machines are capable of using any material. So yeah, that's it's better heat resistant. We do look at other things too. The PLA Plus seems to work pretty good. We do like it to have some flexibility,
Right.
because obviously you see a Thunder slot and an NSR chassis, you do want them to flex. That makes the car handle better. I don't want something that's so stiff that the thing is just not going to really move as the car goes down the track. But yeah,
Right.
please send
We
me
have
a message, on my email or through Messenger. I'd like to hear more about that, what you use, and I'll try it out, buy a roll. Appreciate that
been
very much.
messed around with carbon a little bit too. This chassis is made out of
Yeah.
carbon filament, so I think maybe I'm gonna go throw it out on the patio and just let it sit out there and see what the heat does to it, just for a little test.
Carbon nylon is way more expensive. It's
It's really
something that we would
expensive
want.
though. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's very hygroscopic. Um, if I use that, then the chassis would be real expensive. I do use American filament. It is a little bit more expensive than the eSun. The eSun is a cheaper one.
Yeah.
eSun on eBay is like $16.99, $18. The American filament, the PLA Plus, is like about $33 a roll, which is fine. I'm willing to pay more to have something, and they're out of Alabama, so it's again a stone's throw. So I don't have to wait from something from China or something, or maybe something that may be affected by tariffs. You never know, which I haven't seen yet. But
Yeah. Mad
yes, I
PS.
do, Matt.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bamboo.
That
Yeah.
same one you talking about, PS1. And then I have an Elegoo Centauri Carbon, and that's what Dave has.
Yeah, I like it. Works great.
Well, Sean's worried that people think that the problem is with you guys.
Oh,
Oh no, we don't think that at all. But still, we want happiness. Everybody has to be
Sure.
happy. You know what I mean? It's like, and once it's bent, once it's warped, I don't know. I know like NSR has their little gizmo to flatten chassis and stuff like that, but I don't know. It's just easier to replace
boiling
it.
water and magnets.
Yeah, it's just easier to replace it.
Yeah. And he's probably going to try to blow up my phone in a minute. It's all good, dude. I don't find any malice in anything that people have a problem with. I'd rather know about it and take care of it
Yeah,
and
for sure.
go from there.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier about it's so easy for people to jump online and complain about something than just like go
that's not
straight to the
fair.
source. But
Yeah.
you're always better off just going straight to you guys if there was a problem. You guys would people know that you would take care of it. So, and we've seen that from Steve at Slot Car Corner, and Lynn from LEB, and all those companies. If there's an issue or problem, they always take care of it. They take care of their
Always.
customers. Yeah, you got to give them a chance to. If you gave them a chance and they didn't, then that's different.
Yeah, a little bit different.
but
Steve
that's
does.
not
He
what's
sent me
happening.
any of the. We haven't had really many complaints. There's only maybe one or two. One was a body, which was questionable, but I send it anyway to appease him.
Yeah.
The other one was I sent 2 taillight stickers instead of a head, front. That was a simple mistake, but that's it.
Yeah.
And with the exception of the one Corvette where we had an issue with earlier today, that was explained to us. And then right now I see Sean with this big Camaro chassis. So yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah,
probably
it's-
probably put disclaimers out there too, which we've been thinking of doing, because Steve will cover that. Do not put it in the sun. It
Right,
will
yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Do not
And
use
then that's with any.
solvent automotive style metal to paint battleship paints from your model body. It's gonna screw it up. Things like that. That's the stuff that you discover that people do, and it's like, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
That's not what it's made for. It's resin. It's not. Hard plastic even does bent too. Dave mentioned that when we were talking about NSR chassis don't come fully straight. I mean, neither does Thunder slots. They
No.
have some bend to them, and
Everybody
happens.
that's racing at like the nationals, they've all straightened their chassis.
Yep.
Right.
Whether it's NSR, slotted, Thunder slot, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't
Everybody's
matter.
yeah, they've all done it.
Well, that's what I was going to say. This for the truck. This is the chassis for these trucks. But I did this one right here. I don't know if you can see it.
Holes in
I
the
did.
frame.
I've done a lightened version, but
Yeah.
I'm scared to death to put this out in the wild because it weighs quite a bit less than the other one, and I don't know how sturdy it's going to be.
Yeah.
It'd be great for racing, but we're going to get a whole bunch of them that warp real easy because there's not as much material there. So
I mean, that's similar to that new Lola from NSR. What they've done to that chassis, it's got
Yeah.
a lot of.
The
It looks
fills the
like
Lola.
hole.
it looks like Swiss cheese.
Yep,
Yeah.
Just
lightning
trying to
holes.
lighten it.
That
But
that's an old car thing. That's what
yes,
they used to do to the old Pontiac drag Catalinas. They'd call them Swiss cheese frames. They actually would drill holes into
Yeah,
the frame, and then they would
add
acid
lightness.
dip the bodies to
yep.
make them lighter. It did a lot of weird stuff back then to make stuff light.
Oh yeah,
So
Jerry. You mean I can't use my arc welder on your chassis?
I'm
You
good. I don't know if it
can.
lasts long,
That's great.
but
Well, is there anything we missed, guys? I mean, you showed off a
well, do
few of
you
the
have anything
cars,
you
but
have on there that you need to ask? But
I
I
just
think
I think one thing we need to do for sure, and George has done this several times already, but I'm just going to reiterate it for him and for all of us, me and Harry and George all together, is to thank everyone who's been supporting us by getting this stuff.
yeah,
Otherwise, it's kind of a moot point. But been a huge, great reaction to everything we've been doing, and it's very much appreciated by all three of us. I think I can speak for all of us when they say that. Thank you guys all very much for supporting what we're doing here.
yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's appreciated as always, and thank Soccer Corners, Slot Invasion
Yep.
too for supporting us as
right,
well. Without them, we'd be doing this on our own.
yeah,
Yeah,
You know,
well,
we
we
wouldn't.
wouldn't be doing it because there's no way we could do it. I mean,
Yeah,
you can't.
exactly. We
The
wouldn't be
shipping
selling
alone
anything.
would you'd
So,
be dead trying to ship all this stuff to individual people. It just wouldn't work. So
yeah,
and boxing everything takes time. Trust me, because I do it, and then putting in the
I
package,
know.
making sure you have everything in the plastic bags. For the Trans Am cars, I do add little 4 cones as a little gimmick.
Ooh.
Little traffic cones. I had to make more of them, and I do them only with the Trans Am cars, so I won't do them with all the bodies, but the Trans Am cars, I do that as a little, like, I don't know, just a little gimmick thing, I guess, but the future is gonna be good. I think there's a lot of different ideas we have that'll pop up, and, hopefully
Yeah.
it'll get some I know that it's changed the hobby. I'm pretty sure it's influenced it, not changed it,
yeah,
because I think a lot of people are seeing that. And this is on the forum. When we first started doing this, there's a lot of guys like, "Oh, yeah, that ain't gonna work," or "I've been doing it for years," but they've never posted a picture of anything, and
right.
it's like, "Where the hell's your documentation that you've done this? Because I haven't seen anything." And then we've kinda quieted a lot of people, by doing it this way. Everybody's kinda realized, well, these boys mean business. They're actually doing it. See, and that's the thing with, put your money where your mouth is, a little less conversation, a little more action, like Elvis says. That's the whole, you judge a person by their actions, not by what they say. Their actions really dictate who they are. So that's what 3A3D is, creating a lot of action that way.
Yeah, we had somebody ask. Let's see. He says,
More
"Odd
questions.
question. How do the three amigos collaborate?" And I was typing a text to say, if you listen to the first 15 minutes, you guys kind of touch on that, like the collaboration between the
Oh,
three
yeah.
of you. So,
We talk every day. I mean,
yeah,
Yeah.
1,000 times a day, and you know, how many times? Shit, just in the last 2 days, how many times have we had a FaceTime call? It's like we're constantly in communication with each other. What do you want to do next? What should I do? What do you want to do? Lots and lots of communication between the three of us, and not just us. We drag other people into it too. I'm poor Marty. I mean, I'm the time difference
I
here. I'm
love it.
sending him shit. I think it's only 10 o'clock. I'm going to send this picture to Marty, and boom,
I love
and
it.
and we get opinions from other people. And so it's a huge group effort. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know Harry in here, but he's a big part of it too. He
sure.
Yep,
really
Harry. Totally.
Well, I mean,
We're
brings a lot.
he just has just a wealth of knowledge about the whole industry and slot cars in general, and like
Yep.
what makes a slot car go, right? Like
Yep.
he understands the
Well,
physics of
he
it,
knows a
and it's
lot
really
more than you realize also, and then we realize that nobody knows,
yeah,
because
He's
sure,
forgot more
he
than we
like
all
yeah,
know, probably. You know, it's like
yeah, yeah, and that's
those
obvious when you watch
USAC
his videos.
those USAC cars would have never been here if it wasn't for Harry, and I know a lot of people don't realize that Harry was the one that helped get those developed through Carrera. Though Carrera says American cars don't sell, yet they keep repopping that car that they've
I
had for
know.
how long? Since 2006? Holy crap, that is one of their oldest molds, and yeah, American cars don't sell my ass.
Yep,
It's just, that is all because of Harry, because Harry knew a lot about the USAC cars and NASCAR at the time, and what's what, and all those drivers. He could tell you right off the bat who they are without looking at them. He knows who they are.
I
That
see.
one Roadrunner, the white and yellow one, I forget the name of that driver. He knew who that was. I was like, "Who is this?" And he
I
told me who
see.
he was. And stuff.
Somebody's asking about Dai,
oh yeah,
and
it's Anthony. Yeah,
just want to let you guys. Yeah, I talk to Dai all the time. I haven't talked to him in a few weeks, but I talk to him all the time, and he's doing well.
yep, he's fine.
Sasha's doing great. They're on vacation right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, they're
Um,
enjoying their summer.
yeah, they're enjoying their summer. They're not
Cool.
doing the slot car thing right now. Dai, he pretty much has sold everything off to people who can use it right now, while him and his daughter are off on a different adventure. So he'll be back. I'm sure he'll be back one of these days. Just right now, they're into something else, totally other things. Sasha's a young girl, and her interests are broad, and so they're enjoying every minute. So, but no, they're doing very well.
Yeah, yeah, I get a message from him every once in a while. Try to catch up.
Yeah, yeah.
That's good.
In fact, I
But
feel
he's doing
bad. We
good.
were supposed to have a virtual Guinness last week, and I totally blew it. I forgot we were supposed to do that.
Virtual unit.
Yeah, he wanted me to crack one open while he cracked one open while we had a video call, and he was so busy, I was busy, I totally blew it.
Well, I would just want to thank you guys for letting me be just a small part in it. Like George is always
Oh
sending
yeah,
me cars to test and run on both of my tracks, and it's been a pleasure to be a part of that, and it's been a lot of fun. I there a couple months ago or a month ago, somebody was giving me a hard time about, oh, you get free stuff, and you say you
No,
I'm like,
that's not.
if I did not like this car, by putting it on the track and it was awful and I didn't like it, I would not do a review of it. I
or
wouldn't.
you tell us.
You tell us, hey, this is crap. We'll fix
Well,
it.
so but
I'd rather
I made
get
a
that.
I
and
made a
honest
I made a
opinion about it.
rule to myself when I started this channel that if I ever got sent something to review and it was awful, I was not going to do a negative review. That's not who I am. That's not what this channel is about. So if it shows up on my channel and I do a video about it, it means I liked it. But
Right.
I've been sent some things that I didn't like, and no one ever knew. You know what I
Yeah, you
mean?
just keep it under
I sent it back to them and said, "Hey guys, good try. Here's the issues I had with it. I appreciate you trusting me with it, but I think you need to go back and fix a few things. If you fix it, send it back to me. I'd love to try it again."
That's
That's
a great
happened.
policy.
That's
That's a
happened a
great
couple
policy, actually.
times, but I think it goes back to like from the character that I want to have online. I'm not a big negative person in my real life, so why would I do it just for clicks and things
Right.
like that? And so I've had a blast with these cars, and heck yeah, I'm going to do a video about them. So I tore into the car. George is like, just tear into it, open it up, show people what it
Yeah.
looks like on the inside. And last week's video, that's what I did. And because I did that, I ended up getting like 0.3 more out of this car on the track because
Right.
Cool.
I tore it apart and I looked at it and I'm like, you know what? If I change maybe the way you get the pod set up, I tightened the front screws a touch and I kept getting more and more speed. So every time I put it on the track, I'm getting closer and closer. But George, just so you know, I've picked my colors out for the liveries that I'm going to do. So
We need to
I'll
send
send
you
There's
some
been
something.
some
glass.
really nice
Did you
looking
send him
cars
any
that
glass
people
for that car?
What's
George,
No,
did you
'cause-
send him glass for that car?
No, he'll have to put
The
the glass
window.
on it.
No, I haven't.
Okay, we
I
gotta
said
get
that
Marty
was
some
before we
windows.
started doing the glass. I had to
Yes.
send him glass.
So
You know what?
no,
I have
when
some
I
more
s-
stuff coming to you anyway, so
I was going to
Just
say, when I send
stand
them
by
back,
when
you can
putting
put the glass in.
Yeah.
There you go.
But no,
But,
they've been a blast. But thanks for letting me be a
yeah,
part of it.
yeah, no.
Absolutely.
We appreciate the people that test. You know,
Oh,
the people
did
that
we
test
lose
are
Marty on
important.
his own?
I
Did we
I
lose
think we
Marty on
did.
his own
no,
show?
well,
There he is,
I think my camera
dying out.
Battery die?
camera battery died. It must not be plugging in and charging. Yeah.
Do not
Yeah,
adjust
well,
your dial. We have taken over 2 lines, guys.
I guess that means
2
it's time to
dudes
quit.
instead of 2 lines.
Oh,
We
we haven't
appreciate the
gone in
people
almost
that
2
we send
hours.
stuff out to test. That helps out a lot, You and Tad and there he is.
There he is.
That's
There you have the
the
mobile
gimbal
camera
cam
now.
That's why you have a strict camera. So no, guys, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate everybody being here, and Dave, George, man, I always love it when you guys come on. You're welcome anytime. So
Yeah, appreciate it whenever you want. It's fine.
yeah,
All good.
and
Totally fun.
yeah, when we get we never really get to the talk about the proxy though. I mean, we don't have to wrap things up exactly right now, but
Well,
talk
what
a
do you
little
wanna
talk a
talk
little
about
bit.
the proxy?
Well, talk a little bit about the proxy that you guys announced
Oh,
for Labor Day.
You're
proxy.
right. So the late model proxies, the rules are up on the Home Racing World Forum board. So it's basically the motor spec, the gear of your choice. We have a tire spec, the body. You have to use our body and make it look the part. It's not really difficult. Harry has never done a plastic chassis proxy before. This will be the very first. So you got to give Harry credit for
Yeah, trying something new.
he's moving with the future. He's moving with the future because we're still brass stock car
Yeah,
fabricators. That always will be in our blood. But we wanted to do this because he was the first one to say, "Hey, why don't we do something like this?" It was all on him. And those late model cars, were the ones that inspired that. We are going to improve. Like I said, I'm going to have another one made up of those. That one again it works, but I want to kind of touch back on our designer to have kind of a little bit of different front ends and some variety. So, but yeah, it's August 30th and 31st. It's a Labor Day. It's a Labor Day shootout. Usually Harry has 2 main events, which is the winter and the summer, and then the Labor Day is mainly like a impromptu one that he does. That was the
yeah.
first one I went to when I first met him, which I had a blast with that one. It was the Labor Day shootout in 2022. I got a thing up there of it, but uh, it's going to be a fun race. It should be pretty easy to do. You have plenty of time. Usually people will do things, with a brass chassis in the last 2 weeks. So this will be a little bit easier. All you have to do is assemble the car, do a little tuning here and there, and make sure none of the tires are rubbing on the body. That's the main thing that everybody seems to
Yeah.
miss. And the car will be ready to go. The tires and everything should be perfect fit. That's this red car right here is with the urethane tires. This right here is perfectly fit in nicely. It runs well, and you should have no problem with that. The plastic one will be a little bit quicker and easier to turn over, and the bodies are easy to paint. If you want to prime it, go ahead. It doesn't really need primer, to be honest. You could just rattle can one color, put a number on it. If you want to do that, make sure you put windows on it, and you're good to go. It's something simple, just like this. These are RC numbers. All I did was put 3 RC numbers, which some of the cars are that way that they race in real life. They don't have any sponsorships. They just run them themselves.
I think
It's not
I think
real
Harry
simple.
said Windows optional, George. I'm almost sure of that because he said
Did he?
sometimes depending on the track you're at, they require windows in your car. Some places don't. So he said if you don't want to put the
Okay.
windows in, I don't think you have to.
And then they come with a Lexan interior. So if you don't want to use the resin interior, we're allowing the Lexan interior. That's a first also. Because
Yeah.
on all the
Yeah.
other ones we've done, there's always been no hybrids, no Lexan interiors, nothing like that on the brass side of it. But on this, he's offering that was his idea too. Hell, if we're
Yeah,
gonna make them
well,
fast, he goes, we'll put a Lexan interior in it too. So I was like, okay, Harry. So I was like, wow, he's really into this. So
Yeah, that's
and I
cool.
was into it. He was like, hell yeah, we'll do that. So
S-
but yeah, August 30th and the 31st. The cars, I think 11 have already been sold. There's only 12. So if you are more interested, you can't get any, please email Steve and tell him, hey, we're interested in getting more of these cars when they're going to come out. That's the only way the demand is going to be done. I'm
yeah,
not going to print a bunch of cars and just they're not going to move. It just
Yeah,
doesn't make
have
Right.
any
inventory sitting
sense.
there. Yeah.
you know,
So
Steve's
exactly.
having
So you
inventory
have to
sitting around.
email Steve if you're interested, and they're all sold out. I think there's only one left. Because he just told me like 2 days ago that 11 have been pre-ordered. So and they're ready to
Wow.
go in the box. So
Okay.
they're
Cool.
moving. So
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, today a little bit, I'll share this. I was talking to George about the proxy, and that when I built the wood oval, I've wanted to do some type of proxy, and I did the fast lap challenge, and of course then I broke my timing, so I gotta fix that. But I want to do some type of proxy, and maybe we'll piggyback off of the Labor Day event or
sure.
the showdown or something, so
Yeah.
that guys that build cars for that can send
Mail
them
it
in
to
to the
you.
proxy. Yeah,
See,
Yeah.
and that's a good idea because you could also transfer them from track to track. I mean, you could do something like a East Coast frickin' race where you give them the Harrys and then send them to 2 lines, and then
yeah,
send them to here. I have Portland Oval, and send them to someone else, Harry, Dave. That's a pretty cool idea. That's a great idea. I think
yeah.
that's
So
something
Yeah.
that
It's a
so
good idea.
we'll develop that. I'll talk to you guys about it offline and see what
talk
you
to Harry
think.
too.
But yeah, and I'll reach out to Harry and see what his thoughts are, because again, last thing I want to do is step on anybody's toes. But I think some of these races that the guys have already got cars built, and so it would be easy just to drop them in the box and
Yeah.
ship them off, and so yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
cool.
and it's
Great
more
idea. I
bang for
agree
your
with
buck
that.
too. If somebody
Yeah.
builds a car and it just goes to one race and that's the end of it, it'd be kind of cool to see these travel around. Do a true proxy, so to speak,
Yeah, that'd be
and
fun.
send them from a few tracks. Excuse me.
Well, guys, thanks for your time. I appreciate you being here like always, and we'll do it
Thank you.
again soon. And
Thanks for having us.
as we get closer to the proxy, the proxy at Harry's, the next one that's coming up in
August
July
30th and 31st. Oh, the one we're
No,
going to is July 19th to the
19th.
21st.
19.
Okay, yeah, I will be in Colorado with my kids that weekend, so I'll be tuned in.
Oh yeah,
And
we'll be broadcasting, so no problem.
Yeah.
Your car is there already.
yeah, my car's there already. And
Yeah.
the other thing is I need to reach out to Steve Aarons, because he built that beautiful new track, and it's like 5 miles from my kids.
Yeah,
So
you could go
I'm taking a
check it
couple
out.
cars and my controller with me, and see if I can't sneak on and do a video from that.
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
venue.
I
So-
would. That's a real beautiful
That'd be
track.
cool.
Oh, it's
Kevin
beautiful. So
did.
I've
Kevin's a
been
good guy.
yeah I've been talking to him, to Steve, and then actually Kevin's been posting some great new layouts from Racetrack Scenics, some ideas. Johan's been busy, and so, yeah. So anyway,
Johan is very smart.
yeah. But guys, thanks for tuning in. Guys, thanks for tuning in tonight and watching. And like we always say, go have fun racing. Go have fun building cars. Go have fun
See ya.
3D printing.
Go have fun. Just have fun in general.
Just enjoy the hobby. Thanks, guys.
Exactly. Night, everybody.
Night.